right, Shalom. Kolo Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutations to the house of David, the hopeful elect. You Akim out there pushing his word in truth and sincerity. To those you liken unto the speckled birds scattered to the four corners, speaking in different tongues. Unto you we say Shalom. All right, this is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right, and that's Esau, in that pride that he has. All right, just that spirit, as scripture says. All right, you got vessels for honor and vessels for dishonor. All right, shall the trumpet be blown in the city, and the Lord have not done it. Doing basically, to sum it up, when you're all powerful, all knowing, you have to handle everything that comes with that, and ultimately the Lord, all right, has these devils, all right, on that left-hand side, almost at their fulfillment, ultimately, because now we are seeing, with prophecy, all right, which is how, we are able to determine the time that we're in, we're seeing him get, closer to that final fight, we're seeing his methods being exposed. We're seeing him being made bare. All right, but ultimately the reason why these things occurred, of course, because of prophecy, but also because of pride. All right, and when matter of fact, let me get it. When you're prideful, all right, you're ultimately, you're destined to fail. All right, because pride is like anger. It clouds your judgment. You think you're above yourself. You think you're better. You think you got it all figured out. All right, and ultimately that's just not, as they would say, sensible thinking. All right, Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18, pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. All right, let's just get the etymology for the word haughty. All right, just for edification's sake. All right, etymology, again, going into that pride. All right, great, high. All right, high in one's own estimation. All right, dignified. Okay, and that's Esau, man. So just expounding on that, for edification's sake. But again, it just goes to that pride, man. Like I said, that's like anger. And that's like, other characteristics, man. Of being, even being ignorant. Lack of knowledge. Because ultimately that lack of knowledge could place you in a prideful state. But Esau knows what's going on. Specifically these, elites. The banking families and those that are joined unto them. All right. But ultimately, this is the spirit that they're in. But as we are seeing, they're being brought down, and really through the spirit, the reason why I wanted to grab this. All right. Matter of fact, I'll start at this one. It says, it reads, Lockheed Martin forced top executives, including a 3-star general, to complete 3-day Zoom course to unlearn their white male privilege. All right. And there's no way ultimately that you can unlearn, that privilege. All right. Because again, as we just read, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. All right. So they are deceived. Okay. They are deceived. All right. Their habitation is high. They're living. All right. Their government is above all other governments. Okay. They are not in trouble as other men, which is a prideful thing in and of itself, because you can raid the Capitol building and nothing really happened to you. You can do, things, just even completely wicked on the left hand side, incest and things that these men do. All right. But nonetheless, it's all through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It's just naturally in them. Okay. That's that's in their DNA, if you will. All right. By the same measure that in our, genetic makeup, all right, we are inherently righteous. We inherently want to tell the truth. We inherently sympathize in wrongdoing. All right. Just real quick, a few key points. All right. As I always like to mention, the Daily Mail. You might read the article. When you're doing lessons, you got to go back and find the exact points. All right. But, a good source of a good point for using a source of Daily Mail is the fact that they keep like a brief synopsis of the article within the points at the top of the article. All right, so they did a 16-hour training via Zoom. The firm said it has been teaching since 1996. It has likely boomed in the last year and is run by 2 white men. Okay, where's the point that I want to get? Okay. They had to recite statements of white, male, and heterosexual privilege. Participants were also asked to focus on white male culture traits, including a can-do attitude and hard work. They then had to recite statements like, "I'm tired of being black," all right, which, we are not black, all right, we are not Hispanic, all right, or Latino, even those words go back to being white, all right. But we are the biblical Hebrew Israelites, okay? You might have a black shirt, but we are not black. We are every single possible color shade of brown, okay? And, one good point I always like to make with this, especially dealing with Jake, because Jake doesn't understand, all right, especially black only Israelites. A good question to ask them, what color babies can 2 white people make? And they'll answer white. And then you ask them, well, what color baby can 2 so-called black people make? And that's every shade that you could possibly think of, even so-called white, what the world calls albino. All right. So nonetheless, either way, when they recited these statements, again, it's all for naught, because like we just read, their pride has deceived them. The pride of their heart has deceived them, so they aren't going to be able to ever understand the perspective of minorities. All right. Because ultimately, as scripture also says, that spirit is not upright in him. All right. So he naturally has that spirit, that was given to him. All right. To be completely contrary. All right. Contrary to anything that is good, contrary to anything that is righteous. All right. Anything that is upright. All right. And, that's why he goes forth. All right. As scripture says, I'll just grab it. All right. That pride, he wears it like Jake, like Jake wears his, gold chains, matter of fact, let me see. There's actually more on this, to be honest. Yeah, perfect. I'll start at verse 4, Psalms chapter 73, verse 4. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm, right? Because this is, their time to enjoy. All right. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning, all right, of it that followeth, the next world to come. All right. The true world, the true world power. All right. The true measure and understanding of a kingdom itself. All right, hasn't been seen on this earth, but it will very soon. All right, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men, like I just made, a few references. All right, and this is the point that I wanted to get. Verse 6, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, like I made mention, same way Jake likes to wear them gold chains, and, naturally is a show off, because our power, is a show off, or, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is not, simplistic. He's dramatic, complicated, forceful, but also merciful, and gracious in what he does as well. All right. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Right. So getting back to the article, all right, they will never be able to understand that perspective, because everything is contrary that they do. Okay. So basically they just go into the fact that, this is part of their full diversity measures and trying to basically beat it into Esau's head. And again, it's all for naught, just, for edification's sake, this is just more so to show how Esau is being made bare, as scripture says, all right, and that, the Lord will not meet him as a man. All right. So ultimately, and not only that, we're going to get it. All right. Him being in the spirit of who shall bring me down. But a few verses after verse 3, all right, he goes into the other nations, being against him. All right. And ultimately, you have to understand that in order, as a warlord, or a war tactician, okay, in order to really succeed over the most prideful or the highest opposition, you have to cause division amongst their ranks. You have to cause division amongst themselves first. All right. And that way you can lean that division, whatever, side, you can lean that more towards helping you. All right. And then ultimately that high and mighty stone or mountain, all right, as we know in scriptures, to be related to people, governances, all right, that high mountain now becomes a little hill because they're divided. All right, so they're no longer high and mighty because ultimately Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is picking them apart, all right, within their own nation. Okay, so here we have another example of it. All right, again, he's dismantling Esau first, all right, within himself. All right, by his own seed, if you will. All right, all white people are racist. Brandeis University assistant dean defends critical race theory and says she hates whiteness. And, I said it through the spirit. We understand that a lot of Edomites are basically taking side with Jake, the Black Lives Matter movement. All right, all of these things. And really, that's just because of the reversal of the curses. We're in a time period where everything is reversing. Everything is cycling back slowly to what it's supposed to be. So as scripture says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. That's what Esau did. But now the Lord is reversing that back. Okay, so ultimately, the order by which Yahweh Hashem Yahushua predestined before the foundation of the earth is basically being brought into fruition and undoing everything that Esau does. So we've seen different measures of Edomites, having disdain or not liking their counterparts, specifically, like I said, with the Black Lives Matter movement, more recently with Palestine and what's been happening over there in the Gaza. All right. But, not many times do you see Edomites saying that they hate, their counterparts, they something like this, and through the spirit I was thinking about, I was like, damn, she could be a Jake, because Jake is vocal. Let's be honest, these Edomites out here are very politically correct, and even then they typically not in their capacity, with their jobs and things of that nature. They typically aren't vocal there. All right, but they'll be vocal out in the street, and protest there, because they maintain that politically correctness, if you will. They abide by this system, But again, not many times do you see an instance like this where you're literally discussing it at your place of employment, if you will, and discussing how much you hate it. So just through the spirit, I found this profound as well. All right, and ultimately, she was just going in and making her points known, which you can't really see it. All right. Like fully, you see there's only the 4 points and they kind of cover the main of it. All right. And, even exposing the U.S. Where is it at? The second point. All right. All white people have been conditioned in a society where one's racial identity determines life experiences. All right. So again, and this was the clarification points after she blasted them, which is why you see in the third point, I don't hate white people. I hate whiteness, and that's that measure of political correctness, trying to differentiate the two to still abide by the standard. All right. But nonetheless, this is beautiful because, they're being picked apart on the inside first. All right. Within their ranks. All right. And then ultimately moving forward. All right. They'll be picked apart by these other nations. And then Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. So let's continue further just to get that point. All right. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 4. Continuing on into that pride. All right. Hence why it makes reference of the eagle. And if you actually look at a lot of these, well, most of the nations, really, if you look at their crests, or certain other family emblems, they go back to the eagle. Even some South American countries actually have the eagle as, their emblem or some part of it. But really, that's just to show their unity with Esau in the system, that world governance. All right. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? Right? Because Esau isn't satisfied, man. All right. Which is why, you could look at every single aspect of their big corporations, every single one of them, all right, have had lawsuits, for fraud or dealing deceitfully or, forceful takeovers, all right, false advertising, okay, because ultimately they're not satisfied, okay, even now with everything going on with the C-19, okay, that's a measure of Esau not being satisfied, right, as they call it, the hesitancy, of people not doing what he wants them to do, ultimately, which is another example of him being made bare, all right, and ultimately the Lord dismantling his whole system within his own nation first, okay? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes, right, man? Because you're gonna get what you need, as it says, But Esau is in the spirit of he's gonna take everything. And after he takes everything in the house, he wants to break down your house and then use those tools to build his own house. All right. And then after that, he's going to pillage everything around that area and then just continue to go out to the far depths of his bounds. He can't go past those bounds, but as we know, if he could, he would. All right. Which is why he's not going to be able to come nowhere near what we have in the kingdom. Adawan Ratazah, we be of those men. All right. Verse 6, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right. And we're seeing that. All right. His hidden things, being sought up, being exposed. All right. You have so many revelations coming out. All right. Not only about the things that have been going on now recently, okay, within the past year or two, with this, pestilence and the C-19 situation, all right, but even more, him being exposed for water crisis, him being exposed, for his treaties, people pulling out of, I think it was just Russia. Russia recently pulled out of the open air treaty or open sea treaty, something like that. A few articles and things that I've been going into through the spirit is, all of the measures that he has been taking, with the FBI fighting so-called domestic extremism. All right, you got the Pentagon, who has a bigger, basically, spy network than the CIA. All right, so he's being exposed and revealed, and these are hidden things. All right, these are things that, we are not supposed to know, if you will. Okay, these are things that stay behind closed doors. All right, they love to say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All right, so what happens, in those top executive suites, it stays up there. All right, but now we are not seeing that. We are seeing more leaks. We are seeing more people rise up and be more vocal. All right, and ultimately that's showing the dismantling of their spirit as well. All right, because that scripture says, if you're not able to rule your own spirit, you're like a city with broken down walls. All right, so ultimately, Esau's walls are being broken, not only in a literal sense to his kingdom, but within himself as well. All right. In verse 7, just the point that I wanted to get, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right. So there's no understanding in Esau. All right. And again, through the Spirit, that's really the point. He's being dismantled first within his ranks, and then on a more personal level, his spirit is being broken down, and he's being made vulnerable. All right. And we're basically entering into the period of time, where he's going to, come with that great wrath. All right. Implement things. OK. But these nations are seeing that he's done for it now. It's already, as they say, the damage is done. All right. So, he has a few more things that he has to do. OK, but nonetheless, the damage is done. These nations are ready and are still preparing. All right. And then after that, hey, it's the kingdom, man. That full measure of destruction, them dyed garments from Basra. All right. The Lord coming back, wrecking shop, and we out of here, man. So that was it. I didn't want to make this too long, just to kind of show how beautiful, the war tactician himself, is dismantling Esau in a very calculated way, man. So other one right desire you was edified. I didn't want to make this too long. All right, and in closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who do teach and rule well, and through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, taught us this 100% truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the house of David, the hopeful elect. You Akim out there pushing his word in truth and sincerity. To those of you likened unto the speckled bird, scattered to the four corners and speaking in different tongues, unto you, and until next time we say Shalom.